Well, Sandy, we did it.
Yay!
Okay, well, folks, this is guided, and you are listening to Jody Reynosa and Saundra Caldwell. Sandy, we are doing take two because we kind of had a little Mercury in retrograde incident last week where we had some tech difficulties. So thank you again for joining me. And I am so excited to have you here with me. So thank you for your patience.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. And thank you so much for inviting me. I'm excited to talk to you and everybody else.
Yes. Okay. Your story to me is fascinating. I mean, you're a beautiful, strong woman and you have all these wonderful spiritual gifts. And I just kind of want to dig right in. You have had this beautiful journey where you've been guided, and let's just start off with kind of your background. I feel like, well, at least from what you've told me, you feel like your journey of spirituality was kind of activated by your divorce. If you could kind of just take us from there.
Okay. So it was about 10 years ago, and I just got to a point in my relationship where I felt like I tried absolutely everything that I could to keep the marriage together. I tried to fix it over and over again, and it got to the point where that relationship just didn't want to be fixed. Mm-hmm. And so then I was kind of forced at that point, like the universe does a lot of times. It forces us to make decisions that we don't really want to make. And so at that point, I was kind of forced to come to a decision to continue on my life, not married. And so that's kind of the point that I came to.
Tell me about the decision when, because you talk about, the universe kind of took you to a point where you said the relationship didn't want to be fixed and you had to make the decision to move in a different direction. Were you wavering at any point? Because I think before we talked about how you were trying to do everything, like you said, to fix it, and you wanted to still try to see if things could work. At what point did you just say, okay, enough is enough?
I think it's where I became so depleted, and I really started showing symptoms physically that forced that decision. Like I was completely drained. I felt like I had no spirit. It was taken away. I felt like I was very, very heavy, and I couldn't think straight. And it was almost like having tunnel vision, where all you could see what was right immediately in front of you, and that's all you could bear to deal with, what was right in front of you in that moment. So it was a point of, it almost felt like I was dying.
Oh, that's tough.
Yeah. And I kind of compare it to like the fairy tale in Peter Pan. And at one point, Tinkerbell flies back to the little fort in the tree, and she goes into her little space, and she thinks that nobody believes in her anymore, and she just wants to give up. And you could see her sparkles just giving away until there are no sparkles left. And that's the point that I got to. I was just like, I have to survive. I have to move forward. And these are the decisions that I have to make to save myself and save my kids, for everybody to have a better life. So at that point on is a point where it's like, okay, you made the decision, and now you can start moving forward and doing what you need to do to heal yourself.
Absolutely. And I love that analogy with Tinkerbell. I love that movie. And yes, that's right on. That's a beautiful analogy. What, with the divorce rate so high and people struggling with so many different things around them, just to commit to a relationship, that can be tough. How do you differentiate between staying committed and staying in something that could be lasting and going through a rough patch versus exiting quickly and saying, no, 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 that's not for me? What advice would you have?
I think that it's a combination of things. So if you feel like your partner is not wavering in where they're coming from and their decisions, if they're staying pretty true and solid in what they believe and how they're feeling, that's a good indication that no matter what you're doing, is not going to change them. So if you're having that happening in your life and you're not seeing any results or change in the person that you're with, it's pretty you can be pretty sure that they're not going to change their life. And no matter how hard you try, or they try to see your point of view, or you try to see their point of view, you're just not on the same page anymore. So I think if that's the case, then it probably won't change. But if you see that person is wavering, if that person is trying to make some changes or try to see where you're coming from and to understand where you're coming from, and you're trying to understand where they're coming from, and you see a little bit of communication still happening there, then there's still hope. And maybe that is just a rough patch and everybody's just a little mixed up right now. And if you can keep that continuing, then maybe you both can grow, and at some point on the path you can come back together again.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
That's great advice. And I'm sure you deal with so many various clients and so many various situations all the time. And that brings me to the type of healing modality that you're into. But before I get to that, I still want to kind of have you take us on this journey. So from the divorce, you then kind of woke up and came out of the closet, the spiritual closet, so to speak, as far as waking up and being activated to your spiritual gifts. And tell me what those were. How did those flourish, and how did you recognize them?
So I think at that point, after a lot of giving things up, a lot of letting go, a lot of purging, a lot of crying, a lot of journaling, and allowing myself that healing space, and being my own best friend, and allowing myself to stay the weekend on the couch just crying and nothing else, but just letting all those hopes and dreams and what ifs and what could have beens. And it's a time of grieving,
right?
And there's a lot of different stages, as we all know, so you allow yourself to go through all that. And after you get through that, then you start getting little glimpses of light, like, you know what, I'm free to think, feel, and do as I want. And I'm free to explore things that before I had to hide. I'm free to think ways that before had been told to me that weren't true, or to really explore my own voice and own it, and find out that I really do have something to say, and what I have to say is important, and how I feel is important. So you start exploring those things, and it's really quite eye-opening and very exciting at the same time. So then you just start on this huge growth time, and whatever you're drawn to, then that is something that you need to listen to. Like all of a sudden you feel like taking a class on landscaping. So you listen to that inner voice and explore it and see where that takes you. Or, certain classes that you take, or certain people that you're being pulled to, or groups of people that you're being pulled to. Follow that curiosity with a kind of a childlike joy, and allow yourself to go and explore that. It's just a huge time of exploring and learning, and it's really very beautiful.
Yeah, to me, it reminds me of a gestation period. You have the morning cycles, but then it's almost like this new spring, this budding spring, this gestation period of learning who you are again, after that chapter closes and a new one begins. What's your advice for people who don't go through that cycle and then don't give themselves that opportunity?
I think a lot of times you'll find yourself coming across a lot of blocks, and you'll continue also in that negative cycle that goes around and around and around in your brain, of a lot of jealousness, hatred, not being nice to yourself, not speaking nicely to yourself and about yourself. And you'll find physical symptoms will show up. You'll get certain illnesses in your body because you're not allowing that to be released and to be let go. And it's just it's a very difficult time. It's just a huge choice that you have to make, and that choice can be very scary. That choice can, and a lot of people don't make those choices because they're living in fear. And you have to make the choice, and you have to get a point of where you're going to choose peace, and you're going to choose love. And even just, making a vow to yourself in that moment, I choose peace and I choose love. And the only way that can start showing up in your life, if you yourself lead a life of peace and lead a life of love, and trust the universe. And if you come from a trusting place, then for myself, I had to give up my home, I had to give up my art studio, I had to give up my friends and my security. Well, what I thought was my security anyway, right? And sometimes we don't realize that how strong we are until we give up all those different things. But I was coming from a very vulnerable place. And when you come from that vulnerable place, you just have to keep moving forward, and trusting that something will happen to show up in your life, that you have this inner knowing that this will always take me to a better place.
Yeah, absolutely. Beautiful way of putting all of that. It's like this shadow work, so to speak. I mean, I feel like it's a time to integrate trauma and understand that it doesn't have to be so scary, and you can actually bring it into the light and love it, and love those parts of yourselves again, and really embrace those parts. And like you said, it can be absolutely scary, and some of the most fascinating times of your life to discover new things that you didn't know about yourself. And for you, I don't know if that was a time of discovery for your art, or if it was just kind of a resurgence for your doodling and your art, but it's absolutely beautiful.
Thank you so much. That's always been a part of me. I've been lucky to have my art as a part of my life since I was tiny. And that's always been a place for me to go my go-to place so that I can heal. It's kind of a meditation time for me. And all of us can have that. all of us could find their go-to thing that will help them heal. It's just a matter of moving that energy through your body. And for me, it would be the art, or gardening and going outside and walking in nature's, and you're moving that energy through your body. Some people might like dance. Some people might like being creative through cooking or woodworking, or a variety of different things. It's just a huge, a very important thing, because if you don't get creative, and if you're not moving that energy through you, then it will get stuck and kind of make you, your brain kind of get foggy and I want to say crowded. It's like, if you imagine your brain like a beautiful garden, and over time that garden gets tons of weeds, and it gets full to the point of where you can't even see that beautiful garden anymore. And if you gently go through and you start pulling all of those weeds, and you're letting them go, I'm letting go of that bunch, I'm letting go of this bunch, and you keep moving through the garden, it might take a little bit of time, but pretty soon you have that beautiful garden again. And that's when you get in touch with your passions, and with your talents, and with your things that you were interested in a long time ago that you gave up, that you thought you couldn't do anymore. But you can. You bring that all back into your life, and you'll find that it will be a very healthy decision for you to do that.
Yeah, it's interesting. Speaking of that stuck energy, I just went through a huge bout of illness. I went from like the flu to a secondary illness to a tertiary illness. And I was sick of being sick. And it was just this stuck energy. And, you know, I think it was the universe's way to say, you need to stop, girl.
Yeah.
I'm going to force you to stop.
Yeah.
And it was a time of hibernation and just kind of, I mean, I know Mercury's in retrograde, so you have the RE on a lot of words there. So, you know, you're kind of just reinventing yourself as you're in that hibernation mode. You're looking at things, rediscovering things about your life. And it's very interesting. And speaking of healing, when did you get into the Reiki and become a Reiki master? I think that's beautiful.
It was probably about 5 years ago. I started getting into the healing modalities, and kind of just turning my focus a little bit from the visual arts to more of the healing arts. Even though I do both, I put a little bit more focus on the healing arts. And I made that decision for a lot of different reasons. There were many people in my life that at the time were going through difficult medical situations, and they, you know, the doctors were throwing them a bunch of drugs and a bunch of painkillers, and they were having huge reactions, and it just wasn't helping. And I was thinking to myself, I've got to think of other ways of helping them. So that was my push, so to speak, to take that step and get my Reiki certification and my hypnotherapy certification. And at the time I got my certification, I was told then that I had this healing ability all my life. And the little bell on my head went ding, ding, ding. Oh, okay. Well, now that makes sense because of, you know, who I was growing up, always being the nurturer and the caretaker of all the people in my life and all the animals in my life, and have just been that kind of go-to person that people come to when they need help or advice or healing. So that was the first step into that field and being that practitioner.
Now, for those people who don't know what Reiki is, how would you
Mm-hmm.
explain it to them? Because I mean, there are people within my own family, they don't understand that modality. How would you explain it?
I would explain it like, picture a river, and over a period of time, the river gets a lot of debris, branches, and mud and rocks and trash, and it clogs that river so that that river cannot run smoothly. And sometimes that river even goes off course. And what I do is I clear your river, so to speak. And all that debris and everything in your life are job changes, relationship changes, moving, and illnesses and operations. So when you're going through all those things, you get blockages and you get buildup in your body that it gets difficult to clear. So I tap into the divine energy, and I'm highly sensitive, and I can feel where you need clearing. And through that energy meridian, I go through and clear all the chakras and all the jointed areas, and you'll walk away feeling hugely relaxed. You'll feel lighter, you'll feel clearer thinking, you'll have a whole lot of different things that you'll be surprised that how different you feel.
That's beautiful. I love that analogy of the river. I actually was just playing an analogy about a river. There's something about rivers and keeping them flowing in the proper way.
Keeping them flowing.
Yes. Now, people who may misunderstand the metaphysical community or the spiritual healing arts. I know I was talking to somebody who didn't quite understand this realm of healing in this modality. And he said, it's my understanding that when Reiki masters perform this modality on somebody, they're opening up, I think he said something like conduits for demons. And I said, absolutely not. I said, it's no, I don't know where you heard that. So have you ever had somebody really misunderstand Reiki and say anything like that? And what do you tell them?
I have never had anybody say something like that, but yes, there are a lot of people that are not, it's a whole new concept to them. So it's becoming more and more mainstream now, which I'm really happy to see, but everybody can do this. Everybody has the ability to heal themselves and others. What do you do when you hurt your leg? You put your hands on it like, oh, my leg hurts.
That's
so
true.
you're just kind of, it's nature. You just automatically do it. Some people are just more in tune to what's happening and can feel it a little bit more. Like for me, when I'm doing Reiki and I put my two hands together like this, it's like two ends of the magnets coming together. Mm-hmm. And I can feel that little bit of a force in between my hand, a little bit of energy right there. So that's what it feels like for me. Mm-hmm. And like I said, anybody can do this. And over a period of time, you just become more and more in tune with it because you're paying attention to it. It's right. Almost like you learn a new word and mm-hmm. all of a sudden you see that new word everywhere.
Right.
So it's learning a new thing, it's bringing it into your awareness, and pretty soon you'll see magazines with Reiki on it and another show about energy medicine, and they're even using it up at OHSU and helping the cancer patients, which I have tapped into, and and am fortunate enough to work with some of those patients up there that have cancer.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So,
what have the results been that you've noticed?
It is the power of the mind, and the power of the mind is so so extreme. People don't have a clue as to what we can create with just using the mind. So it's helping the body to, and the person, get in touch with, you have control over this. And we're gonna fight this, and I'm gonna show you how. And through meditation and through the Reiki healing, we can make their journey a lot easier. And we all know that if you come from a space that is a more relaxed space, then you heal better.
Right.
If you come from a space of fear and being scared and of all the unknowns and in the fight or flight position, then you don't heal as easy or as quickly. So that's what you do. You just help the person get to that point of healing.
What a beautiful service that you get to do for people. That is That's beautiful. And, you know, speaking of not just healing, but manifesting and creating your reality that you want in life, I was just talking to my partner, and, you know, when you're raising your frequency in whether it's laughter, love, or just relaxing through meditation and Reiki, like you were saying, it's so much easier to manifest those things in your life that you want.
Be the star of your own show. If you're the star of your own show, you are the producer of your own show. You can you can cast the kind of people that you want in your show. You can create the background and the place that you want your show to be in. And when you're in there creating that movie, really get in touch with all the different senses, like, you know, how do you want people to feel in this movie? How do you want, you know, what story you want to tell? It's your story. And you're telling it. Yeah, you're telling it.
Specific, yes.
Be very, very specific and get in touch with all the senses and feelings.
I love that. So moving on to your cosmic package, because not only are you a Reiki master, you blend the hypnotherapy into it as well. So if I were to come in and say, Sandy, let's do the cosmic package, what would that look like?
At first, when you would walk in, I would have music playing that I specifically would choose from you. That's usually music that is 432 hertz and above with binaural beats. And you would hear that nice relaxing music in the room. I would have crystals in the room, and you would be able to choose a crystal that you're attracted to. It wouldn't matter what crystal, because whichever one you're attracted to is the one that you need to be holding. So you would choose your crystal. And then I have a gravity chair for you to sit down into, and it leans back and it gives you a nice soft blanket, and you get all nice and cozy and comfortable. And we talk for a few minutes. And at that point, I take you through a very healing visualization that is probably about 20 minutes long. And you just sit in your chair and you relax and you close your eyes and you start creating this beautiful picture in your mind about what I'm talking about. And after I'm done doing the healing meditation, then I start doing the Reiki. And I start at the very top of your head with just a very light touch. I just either hover or very light touch on your head like this. And you might feel some tingling and some warmth
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, I just moved down to the ears and all the different chakras and the joint points, moving my way through. And when I'm doing Reiki, a lot of times I'll get visualizations, or I'll get messages for you, and I'll continue to write those down as I'm going through. I always get a spirit animal for everybody.
That's
And
neat.
when I get a spirit animal, I know that spirit animal has a special message for you. And that can be kind of like a little bit of a homework assignment for you when you leave and go explore what that spirit animal has to tell you. And that usually takes a good 45 minutes to get all the way through to the very tips of your toes. And then I'll kind of bring you back into the room. You can tell me about your experience and how you felt and what you got. And then I will share with you all the messages and the visions that I got during your session. And it's mind-blowing every single time. I'm just as excited as you are when I go through the whole session and what I have to share, and how important it is, the information that I have that helps you with where you are in your life now. And it helps you understand why you're going through what you're going through. And then at that point we compare notes, and a lot of times we kind of get the same pictures and feelings during the session. And then from there I'll do a card reading, which
Neat.
also just affirms everything that we got in the session. It's really quite amazing.
And for those of you who don't know what card reading she's talking about tarot, correct?
Yeah, I use the angel oracle cards and tarot, both.
Love it. And so do you use the oracle cards to clarify the tarot that you utilize, or that you choose for the person, or how do you use those together?
Well, I don't use them like together. I have like several decks, like a dozen decks, and
Oh, wow.
that person gets to choose what deck that they want to have the reading from. So whatever they're drawn to is the deck that we use, whether it be the angel oracle cards or maybe a tarot deck. And from there, then we do the reading. And like I said, a lot of times it'll mimic what we were just saying, or it will expand on what we were just saying. And we're just like, can you believe this?
Yeah.
It's just, yeah, it's crazy.
That's so neat. Oh, I can't wait. I'm going to sign up for one of those.
Good.
So how do you have clients prepare for working with you, or a cosmic package? And then after that, how would you describe your preparation and spiritual protection from just all energies in life? You know,
Yeah,
I know there's, you know, spiritual vampires out there that, like you've talked about before, it can deplete you.
Yeah. So I don't think anybody has to do anything special to prepare, other than maybe just get a good night's rest and drink lots of water.
Mm-hmm.
And then afterwards also drink lots of water, because you're moving a lot of energy through your body, a lot of toxic stuff that needs to be released. And so through rest, through some gentle exercise, through drinking water and eating right, you can help all of that moving through your body in a gentle way. And just maybe keep a journal afterwards, because you may be surprised at what comes to you afterwards, some epiphanies and things like that. And as for protection, there's so many different ways to have protection over your body. And I think I was talking to you before about how I can go shopping at Fred Meyer's.
Yes.
And by the end of the shopping trip, I am exhausted and drained, and I don't know why, but it's just me picking up on everybody's energy just going through the grocery store.
Yep.
And so what I've done is learn how to protect myself, is put up some kind of a shield. So for me, it's more a shield of light.
Mm-hmm.
And I can change that light depending on what I need. If I need more healing, it's more of a purplish light, and maybe bringing in some Saint Germain and Archangel Michael and Archangel Raphael, that kind of light around me that makes me feel good and covered from head to toe. And if there are times that I forget to shield, and I picked up on some energies, and for all of a sudden I just feel depressed and I don't know why, or I feel achy and I don't know why, then I know I'm picking up on the collective energy or from the person that I was just with. So I literally just imagine like a tropical waterfall, and standing underneath a tropical waterfall and just clearing by saying, this is not mine. This is not mine. I release all that is not mine. And when you do that, simple little thing, you'll be surprised at how much better you start feeling right away. Because, yeah, you're just acknowledging it's not yours. This is not my energy. And so you release it.
That's funny, because last time we talked, I was like, yeah, sometimes when I go into Walmart or other places, the mall, and I'm there too long, I just feel like I got to dust off. So that's great. This is not mine. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those are beautiful techniques. And for parents out there, for little kids who don't understand that they're empaths and they're picking up on this energy, and they might have tantrums that you don't understand, like, what just happened to my child, this total meltdown, it's most likely because of that. And you can play pretend with them and use some of those techniques that Sandy's talking about.
Most definitely. Just get down to their level. Just get down on your knees with them and say, I understand that you're not feeling this, and it feels, tell me about what you're going through and how you're feeling. And they will tell you the best that they can. Sometimes they can't. Sometimes they don't understand. So all you can do is help them by getting a great tone of voice going on that's very soothing. Then we're going to get through this, and you're going to be okay. And I'm here for you. And you're surrounded by lots of people that love you, and just move them through it. And also help them to understand how to shield themselves and help them from being exposed to that, because I have 3 kids and they're all that way.
Oh yeah, that's such great advice. So, I don't know if well, I shouldn't say that. I bet you are aware. Let me rephrase it. I bet you are aware of the Schumann resonance going on.
Oh boy.
How is that affecting you, or are you feeling it? Are your clients feeling it? Tell me about it.
I can tell you this. I'm hugely aware of it, but it's usually after the effect, meaning I'll be feeling super achy. Like sometimes it'll be like a super achy to the bone achy, like you're catching the flu, and super tired. Yes. And then I'll see the Schumann resonance, and I'll notice that it's going crazy, and so it completely makes sense that I was feeling the way I was feeling. Today, it was I don't know. I was around noonish or so, I think. No, it was earlier than that. It was probably around 11. And I started getting this headache. It was a weird headache. It was like an overall headache. And I was like, why am I getting a headache? I don't want to have a headache today. It's so nice outside. I want to go out and do things. But that headache increased to the point of I had to go lay down. Mm-hmm. And I went and laid down. But before I did that, I put on binaural beat music for the crown chakra, because that's where my headache was. And I fell asleep to that music. I woke up 2 hours later, and then I get a ding on my phone, and I look and see that this human resonance is going berserk right now.
Yes.
And so it's like, okay.
Okay, those of you who don't know what it is, I'm going to literally read it verbatim from Wikipedia. So, okay, the human resonance are a set of spectrum peaks in the, let me let this get bigger here, extremely low frequency, or ELF, portion of the Earth's electromagnetic field spectrum. Human resonances are global electromagnetic resonances generated and excited by lightning discharges in the cavity formed by the Earth's surface and the ionosphere. So a mouthful, but as Sandy was saying, oftentimes we are feeling those frequencies, and whether it's flu-like symptoms or headaches. My partner had a headache like you did today. I started having a dull headache, and right now today it's at 85 hertz. We looked it up, and that's
crazy.
That's really crazy high.
Yeah.
So
we're in historical times right now.
Right.
So,
and
I mean,
the Earth is
that's the Earth. That's what Mother Gaia is feeling. She
Mm-hmm.
is going through huge shifts and huge changes right now. And we are going through huge shifts and huge changes now. So we have our own little tiny Schumann meter going on in our bodies, and she's got hers, and we're all shifting and moving, and it's yeah, like I said, we're walking on some historical times right now.
Absolutely. I feel like life is so cyclical. I mean, we're seeing major changes, like you said, to Mother Gaia, and it just seems like the times have sped up dramatically.
Yeah.
It's just,
it is.
Oh my goodness.
So let me give you some advice, and I have to do this more now than I have ever had to before. Please. And that is to ground.
Yes.
And if you don't know what grounding is, just imagine yourself taking a nice deep breath in and out. And at the bottom of your feet, imagine the roots going into the earth through all the different layers of soils, through all the underground rivers, through all of the oils, through all of the fossils, all through the lava, and down to the very core of Mother Earth, where there's a crystalline heart. And imagine your roots wrapping around that crystalline heart. And when you're there, you thank her for everything that she's done for you and for allowing us to live on her. And then send her love. And then tap into the energy and the strength and the love that she has for you, and bring that back up through all the different layers and all the different back up through your chakras and to your heart center chakra, and really feel it explode in your heart chakra, and then also connect to the divine energy and bringing that back down through connecting in your heart chakra, and breathing and releasing and breathing and releasing. And that just kind of brings you all back down to where you need to be, and kind of just settles everything down, kind of calms all the nerves, get your breathing back to where it needs to be, and then you can continue on with your day.
That's beautiful.
You may feel like you need to do that once a day or more than once a day now.
Absolutely. That's beautiful. I have different techniques of grounding. That is a beautiful way. My partner and I, we went to breakfast very late in the day before this interview. I love breakfast at night, but we went into an atmosphere like we talked about, Fred Meyer-ish, Walmart-ish, and I forgot to ground before too. And I literally sat down in the restaurant and we grounded, because if I don't do that and I forget to, it's like we talked about, I just feel other people's energy and I start getting that headache. So I just did it right there in the restaurant, and wherever
anytime
you are, do it.
Yep. anytime, anywhere, when you're stuck in traffic in the car, just whenever you start feeling your blood pressure going up and your anxiety starting to stir a little bit, just go, start breathing, getting in touch with your breath, and then continue with that grounding.
Absolutely. Yeah. I wanted to go back to something that you do in your cosmic package, which I think is beautiful. And that's the 432 hertz that you use with that calming music is equivalent to the heart chakra. And
yes.
so that's really beautiful. And
yes.
then also I wanted to ask you, do you bring in guides to help you with your healing modalities, or
Mm-hmm.
do you see other guides that your clients are utilizing in their lives, or how does that work?
Mm-hmm. So even before I begin, I bring in all of my angels, all of my archangels, all of my guides, all beings of love and light into my space, and all of their beings, angels, archangels, and guides. So it's both of us together. And then all of a sudden you just feel the room, the energy in the room shift hugely, and you can just tell, like, okay, everybody's here.
The clan, the team's here.
Yeah, everybody's here. And a lot of times for the client specifically, certain angels or guides will have specific information for them, whether that's, like I said, Archangel Michael, it could be Jesus, it could be Mother Mary, Kuan Yin, a variety of different people may step forward with a specific message for that person. Yeah. So it's really beautiful. It's really beautiful.
Is there one particular, I'm sure there's so many that you could talk about. Is there one in particular, a session that just stands out to you that is so unique?
Oh gosh. There's just so many. I think the ones that I kind of get super excited about are when they'll have some health issues, and I'll be picking up on these health issues. And a lot of times I won't know what they're dealing with, and I prefer not to know what they're dealing with, because I don't want that to sway me one way or the other. But like I'll pick up on some past lives. So I'll see them as like an Egyptian woman, and I'll see her like walking through the corridors carrying a vase of water or something like that. I'll just kind of see them in that life. And there'll be certain things that will happen to them in that life that affect them to today. And we'll talk about that in the session. So, this came up, and, how is that affecting you now? Like one person that I had a session on had gone through multiple wars. He was always a warrior in every single life that we saw. And so he was always in this mode of, I have to save the kingdom, I have to sacrifice myself. And to this day, he is in that kind of mode of fight or flight. So it's like the war's over.
Right. Yeah.
You don't have to fight anymore. You can choose peace. You can start building your new kingdom.
Right.
And you can move that new kingdom however you want it to be.
Right.
So so there's a lot of different things that come through. I had somebody who was a guide for Jesus.
Oh, neat.
And he would scout the country and decide where Jesus would go next and help him with that decision. Yeah.
That is fascinating.
It's so cool.
Oh my goodness. Oh, that, and just to think that you are able to be the spiritual liaison to help people with these major shifts in their life. I mean, from past lives to present to,
Mm-hmm.
leading them onto their futures if they
Mm-hmm.
choose.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think a huge issue that a lot of people have right now is even though they're going through all these transformations, they kind of feel alone right now.
Yeah.
They've been on this path for a long time of feeling alone and being alone, and nobody will understand me or understand what I'm going through. And it's kind of like, I like to give the description of, how a search party will spread out through a field.
Right.
And you all moving through the same field
Mm-hmm.
in this line, and you're all gathering information, and you're learning what you learn as you're going through this field. And at one point, you all come together and you share your information and what you've learned with each other. That's where we're at now. This is the time to come together. It's crucial. Find your people, find your tribe.
Yes.
And share your information. We all have talents. We all need to be heard. We all need to be acknowledged. And we all need to be seen. So if we could come together and we could share all our information and help each other and lift each other up, then do that. And if you can't find your tribe, then start a tribe.
Beautiful information.
Be the leader. Yeah, be the leader of that tribe and start saying, hey, let's meet at this coffee shop every Wednesday afternoon. Yeah. It could be as little as that. And you can come together and share what you know, share your experience, and really support each other.
Absolutely. And that's one of the reasons that I started the show Guided, is because I wanted people to be able to hear and see and just be able to have this platform to know that not only are they guided, but we have these opportunities to be guided by other people like you, Sandy. Things that you say activate people, activate me. The thousands of people that are going to listen and view this are going to be influenced. And so that's why I think it's so important at this time. Yeah. And it's also a way for disclosure for many, many things, spiritual disclosure, intel, a lot of different things. There's a kind of a mix of guests that I have, from, a former CIA remote viewer to spiritual healers, all sorts of beautiful guests, that have a lot of information to share with people. I think it's absolutely beautiful. One of the things that we mentioned at the beginning of this interview was the fact that you're a beautiful artist. And I think that your art is another way that can activate people and has activated people. I think when they see your art and your pictures, I know you have it on social media, and I've looked at it and I've been moved by it. I mean, the colors that you use, and that in and of itself is a healing art, I believe.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just another way of downloading information.
Yes.
And passing it on.
Yeah. Are you feeling like you're channeling when you do this type of art as well?
Oh yeah. And the thing is, when I'm doing my art, I get to a meditative state. And so when I'm in that space, if you were able to see like my art table, I would be like, have the art that I'm doing right here. And then all around it, I have all these little notes that I'm writing, and all these little downloads of information, like aha moments. Oh, now I get it. And that's why that is like that. And write it down and then get this more information. So I got all these little scribbles all around because it's just that time of downloading and getting so much information and being open to it, like inventions and what my next book is going to be,
Yes.
and all these different ideas. So yeah, how to help myself, how to help others.
Yes.
Yeah.
To me, it's like a light language art is as well. And then, like you said, a meditative state where you're getting all of these spiritual downloads. So I'm going to look at my notes here and make sure that I covered all these questions for you, because I love having guests like you, Sandy, with just this treasure trove of information. We went through your beautiful background and your journey, your guided journey to where you are today. And that was so neat. And, the things that you offer, the healing modality that you offer to people in Portland. So do you also do remote sessions, or is it people need to come to you, or how does that work?
A majority of my sessions I do in the person's home, because I feel like they feel the safest. They feel the safest in their home, and they can relax the most and get the most benefits from it. I also do some from my home. I also do remote healing. So it's kind of a little bit of everything. Yes.
Okay.
So all the above.
And then how are we able to get in touch with you? Do you have a website or an email?
My website is almost up and running. I am revamping the whole thing because, like most of us, I've gone through a metamorphosis and then changing a few things. But it is the name of my business is Crystal Clear Connections and Creations. So that will be coming up.
Email.
Yeah, and let me plug in my phone real quick.
Okay.
And hang on a second. I'm gonna have to unplug this. Hopefully you can still hear me. Can you still hear me?
Yes, I can still hear you. We are good.
Okay. And also, you can contact me through #1visualthinker@gmail.com.
Okay, excellent. So then we can email you, get a session with you that way, either remotely or in our homes, or come to you, whatever's easiest. Okay, excellent. Right. And the sessions are usually how long, did you mention again?
They're right around an hour and a half for the whole cosmic package.
Okay. Wonderful. That's so exciting. Well, I really thoroughly enjoyed, even though it was take 2, it was amazing. I enjoyed the time thoroughly with you, and I'd love to do it again. I mean, at time in the future,
we still have so much to talk about.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, before we end this beautiful interview with you, do you have anything else you'd like to add?
I guess being in a space of allowance right now during these times, and the challenges that we all have in our life, and allow yourself to get into a space of healing, and allow yourself to slow down and rest. And I know that's difficult for a lot of us. And allow yourself to let go of some control, because when you let go of some control, then the universe can bring something even bigger and better into your life than what you're thinking or imagining could be. Allow yourself to nurture, spend time nurturing yourself, and being accepting of who you are and what you are right now, because you are everything that you need to be in this moment right now. And allow yourself forgiveness, and be forgiving of yourself and others around you, and that will bring more peace and more love into your space.
Oh, that's so gorgeous. Thank you so much. What a beautiful way to end this. I so appreciate your time and the person that you are, and I look forward to more. So
and I will say to all my friends and people out there, when I'm leaving them, I always say, stay true on your path.
I love it. Stay true and honor your path. That's great. Thank you so much, Sandy, and we'll be in touch.
Bye-bye.
Bye.